Welcome to this show where I can't make up my mind. So I posted a video like a week ago where I said I cancel my animation software that I'm working on to save hours of my life and so on. Then I shared it with the Handmade community, got some positive feedback. That combined with I can't let the project out of my head if I'm trying, it's like pulling me back in. So I'm going to try to at least get it out into a usable state this time. This time I'm not going to spend most of the early part of the video ranting, so let's get into what I've been doing. I'm going to switch to another camera view in a moment. So I've been working with more stylus support. I got a tip from Ash in the Handmade community to use the pointer API. That's only support from Windows 8 and forward, but it gives me support not just for the Wacom WinTab stuff, but also for S Pen and other non-Wacom devices. So I can now have pressure sensitivity on my laptop. But I've also been working on touch support with pinch and zoom. So let's switch over to my laptop first. So here we are. It's a small laptop, pen for a size comparison. And let's just draw some random stuff. So nothing special, but you can see, I think it's working quite well. Zoom really far in. Gotta see those pixels, right? Let's draw something super basic, a cube. We can, oh, it was already mirrored, doesn't matter. Flip it upside down, still working. If you haven't worked with camera transforms and trying to keep your input working like this, while also in your perspective transform flipping and rotating, it was quite a headache to get this correct. So here's the thing. As I keep using Clip Studio Paint and Krita as a comparison, I want to reach feature parity. So if you come from one of these two applications, you should feel at home, right? But notice here, I'm going to show a few annoyances I'm trying to avoid. In both Clip Studio and Krita, when you start zooming and stuff, you see how it pops to exact angles. I hate this. There's probably a setting for it, but it's really, really jarring. Also, I don't think it's showing up on the camera, but there's quite a lot of artifacting going on. It's not that bad, like you can use the program and most users will not notice it, but this is because of sub-pixel positioning, right? So it looks like they're trying to use some trick to snap it to exact pixels to avoid that, but there's a lot of jumping of the canvas as you move and pinch and stuff. So I really do not like that. Krita is slightly better with this. You see it's more smooth, but it still has this behavior of, oh, snapping to the exact angles. Can be quite jarring. But I would say Krita has less artifacting when it comes to sub-pixel positioning and stuff. So I'm quite happy with my result on this. I'm not opening the same picture here. I'm going to show it on my main recording in a moment. So yeah, I have the touch. The S Pen is working. So far so good, and it's not a super big showcase, but the amount of headache I've gone through to get the pinch to work and to make these control based on the center of the view, those two at the same time, has been a real pain. Okay, so let's switch to the other view, and I'm going to put this away so it's not in my face, and I'm going to put the laptop Okay, so let's see here. Also, the other tablet. Gotta bring the Wacom. Wacom, Wacom. Call it what you want. Okay, so where are we? First of all, okay, now we're getting almost into the rant part. I also have notes. I mentioned the touch, the S Pen support. I thanked Ash for the tip. We can start with the artifacts. I already hinted at that, but now when you have the proper screen recording, let's do this. So I have this 1 pixel test. We can use image viewer, and you can see most viewers, they keep the linear interpolation when you zoom in and stuff. I don't know if you can actually rotate interactively in this, but you tend to sometimes see, yeah, it becomes blurry the slightest you zoom it, and it keeps being blurry anyway. We can also open Paint, and I don't know what Microsoft did here, but it is horrible. My eyes, just look at that artifacting. Not sure it's coming through on the video. I don't want to see this shit when I'm working with an editor. So in my case, let's do the smooth zoom, and I don't have MIPS, so if we go in this direction, it kind of disappears. We'll look at the MIPS in a moment. But I did show this with the artifacting in the last video, but I worked some more because it's just slightly as you start zooming from 100% and a little bit in. There's a little bit transition where it gets a little bit blurry and then it gets sharp again. So, but otherwise, this is like the most aggressive case you can test with like a super sharp 1 pixel line. And I would say that if this is stable, as you are moving it around, no flickering, no shimmering, I would call that a success. And you see, it doesn't change when I change the viewport. Some applications can have that issue because you're trying to center based on viewport dimensions. Nothing of that. So I think I'm 99% there. There might be some edge cases on this. So let's not just look at this image. I'm going to check a few others. Show this sketch last time. I mean, in practice, as you're drawing on this, I don't think people are going to notice much. We can do the pixel art one. So, yep. This is more a painterly test. And we can do a photo as well. This is quite big, so when I zoom out, I don't have MIPS, but I can do this. I do have a MIP when I do off-screen compositing like that, but that's for later time. So that was the artifacting showcase with smooth zoom. Okay, more ranting. I can keep that image on the screen. So yeah, when I added touch support, I essentially had to rewrite my whole perspective camera transform chain, because all of these transforms, like rotating in the middle and zooming in and out, is essentially a step between the camera and the orthographic transformation, you know, from pixel space to normalized device coordinates. And I need that portion when I'm doing interactions. Otherwise, I can't transform my input to the camera translation. So the camera is the one moving around like this. But I need to keep this separate from the camera with perspective. Sure, there are many ways to skin the cat, but it's the way I finally got it to work while keeping the translation, rotation, and zoom as separate values, because I'm updating those values, the same ones that you use for the sliders. Had I just been messing with the matrices directly and extracting and so on, I don't think it would have been as messy, but I got it working. Each step, when I tried to get it working with, you had the Wacom, the touch, and so on, and then going to the laptop, something new broke. Either the pivot for this was wrong, or the zoom pivot was wrong, like the canvas would move away if I'm using the sliders on the screen instead of the mouse. Yeah, the mouse and keyboard input, these shortcuts stopped working while I was doing pinch, and it's like, I hate my life. But those are all kind of my table and my fault. But the things that I stumbled upon was SDL and Wacom and WinTab combined. I don't know if this is intended, but if you use touch in SDL and you simulate mouse clicks with it, the click comes before the touch input. So you cannot like say, I have touch active when that first click comes. So I kind of need to check, was that a simulated click from touch and so on. So I think I'm going to completely separate touch from mouse, keyboard, and pen, and skip the SDL part there, because you can give a hint to SDL to not tell it to make touch be mouse clicks. And then yeah, so here's a really annoying thing. So when you have a tablet and you hover your pen above it, when it gets within, you see on the screen now, even in the log, you see it gets close, and I click and so on. This is like, what do you call it? The pen is nearby, proximity check. When this is used on my tablet, I think it is Samsung that essentially ejects all the touch input. So if I'm pinching and the pen gets close, it lets go of my fingers, and touch stops working as long as the pen is nearby. And I think that's their way of doing palm rejection. And it's super annoying because it's quite a long distance from the surface. So if you're trying to use the same hand for pinching, the pen can accidentally get close and just kill your touch input. And I don't know if I can even solve that, if it's a hardware issue. So I'm going to look into SDL and stuff to see if it's SDL misunderstanding something or if it's ejecting by default. Then there's this second issue that's super annoying. So we have, there's the Wacom driver. You see that the Wacom has touch. The problem is this touch input does not seem to be detected as touch by the operating system. It seems to be like a trackpad or something. It doesn't behave the same as when I'm using the actual touchscreen. So that's going to be a pain in the ass to solve. But enough about touch and interrupts. The biggest issue is, so I was using WinTab for input for pens, and it didn't work for my Samsung. And then I used the pointer API. You're seeing the log, WM pointer, enter, leave, and so on. This is Win32 API from Windows 8 Plus. The problem is that API is buggy with Wacom. Now let's see, where is it? Yeah, it's under options. No? I'm blind. Where is it? Mapping. Here, you see, use Windows Sync. If this is active, I can use the pointer API. If this is inactive, I rely on the WinTab. And let's show this. If I try to use the middle mouse, you see on the left, I'm clicking with it constantly, but it gets stuck. I'm not clicking anything now, but it still thinks I'm clicking the button on the pen. And now it lets go, and now it comes back. So if I use the Windows Ink API, something with either STL or the Wacom drivers makes it not understand that I'm doing half of the actions. But if I activate WinTab and inside Windows Ink or without, this will work perfectly. I need to do this in a particular way because I need to activate WinTab. EasyTab is the source code for getting to WinTab. So now, no problems. So when I use WinTab, I can use the Wacom input just fine. And this is with or without Windows Ink. So, right. But if I open, and I need to have Windows Ink now because I don't have WinTab activated. You see, I can't even combine the input. It is so frustrating because what I'm trying to get at here is it might be possible that the Wacom driver is so buggy with Win32 or something in STL that I'm forced to ship both WinTab and the Windows, the pointer API thing, just so that Wacom users can use my program properly. Shoot me. But I'm going to dive deeper with this at a later point just to see if I can get rid of WinTab. Because having to support two settings and essentially do a notification for the users like, oh, by the way, you might have to switch to WinTab if you're having issues. There's nothing more annoying than having to add special case settings for a user to be able to use a program. So that's about it for the rant. So I'll probably continue a bit more with the input interaction side of things because I think that's the most important part of an application. Like, it's just easy and smooth and it does what I want when I like touch the screen or draw with my pen. I don't want it to like flicker and jump and do all weird things like I'm not expecting it to, right? And after that, I don't know. There are so many things left, but I might try to just do the most basic animation stuff after that. We'll see. The rabbit hole is a long one. So that's it for the showcase and the rant. Until next time.